So this is just a very quick tutorial to explain how I created a chain and animated it to swing, very much like the chains that are in my Nostromo world in Altspace. So I'll get started. I've already got me an empty project open in Unity and I have Blender open. I haven't done anything at all, no prep work, so I'll apologise in advance because there will be mistakes. So we click outside of the box first of all. The first thing we need to do is create the chain. So we'll start off with a simple chain link. We press button A twice to select everything, delete and enter because we want to start from scratch. Press 5 on the number pad to go into orthographic view and 7 for a top-down view. We go up to the top left here and click on the Create tab, and we're going to start by creating a torus. And if you go down to the bottom left here and scroll up, you can see we can change the minor and major radiuses. Major radius just makes the torus larger and smaller, and the minor radius makes it thicker. So what we want to do is make the minor radius probably, I like to make it about 40 because I like a nice thick, chunky, strong looking chain. Go back up to the top left into Tools and click on Smooth. And that just gives us a nice smooth surface to look at. That's the way it will render in Altspace. So we want to go to a front view, so press button 1 on the number pad. And we need to rotate the chain because it's going to be hanging down. So we want to rotate it on this red axis, which I think is the x-axis. So we press R and X and then press 90 and enter. And that's it rotated. Now I want to go into edit mode, so press the tab button and press A to deselect everything. Now we also want to go into wireframe mode, and the reason we want to do that is because if we leave it the way it is, when we select any vertices and do anything with them, move them around, it only selects the ones that you can see. You can see these ones at the back here haven't moved, nothing's happened with them. So we press the Z button to go into wireframe mode, which is like X-ray kind of mode. We press the B button for box, and we're going to draw a box just around the vertices we want to select. That's not right because I've missed some. So I'll press A to deselect, zoom in a bit, B, and we want everything below the red line. And then if we drag those down, we can stretch it out, and there we have a chain link. Deselect everything out of wireframe mode and tab to go back to object mode. We'll drag this down a bit so that the origin of the chain is on the red line because it's going to be hanging down from the origin. I'm zooming in and out using the scroll wheel. You can pan around the object by pressing the scroll wheel, and you can also move the scene by holding down Shift and pressing the scroll wheel. So we'll go back to front view and we'll move it up a bit, and we'll want to duplicate this chain, and to duplicate it we press Shift and D, and we want to move it down on the Z axis, which is this blue line here. So Shift and D, Z, and move it down. Then what is probably, I'm thinking, is the easiest way is to just press A to deselect everything, A again to select, and repeat the process. Shift and D, Z, and move it down. And then this chain link here, we can then rotate on the Z axis. So it's rotate Z 90, enter. It's all a bit too big at the minute, so I'm going to scale it down by hitting the S button, and I'm going to make it half the size, so 0.5. No, that's not right. It would have helped if I'd selected everything. So deselect and select by pressing the A button twice. Scale, S, 0.5 and enter. And I'll just drag that back up again. Now we want to duplicate it again. So Shift and D, Z, and move it down. And this link we can rotate again on the Z axis. So RZ 90 and enter. A, I'm going to scale it again. S 0.5 and drag it up. Shift and D, Z. So we've duplicated it along the Z axis. Drag it down. Look for any links that need rotating. So rotate Z 90. Deselect and select. And I'm just going to keep scaling it each time, I think. Move it up, duplicate, Z, and this will be it, I think, probably. I'm going to zoom in here and just move that down a bit. Rotate this link, RZ90, and then at the very bottom there'll be one left to rotate, RZ90. And that's it. That's our chain. We'll go back into perspective view and have a look at it. That's, considering that the world size, that is actually a pretty huge chain. So I'm going to select it all again, scale it again, move it up. It's still probably too big, but that's fine. We can change it afterwards. Now I like to zoom in here and make sure that the top of this chain is at the origin. Now we've selected everything, which means that we can't see the handles for moving it. So what we can do is press G to translate, Z to move it on the Z axis, and then just move it down a little bit and click. And then if we press Ctrl and A, and lock the location, it will reset the origin to the very top of the chain, which is exactly what we want. So that's the chain made. Simple, quick, easy, looks like a chain, it'll do the job. So at this point it's a good idea to save what you've done. So I'll save it in, I'm going to just save it in my basic 000 file I use as it's an easy to find root folder for my current working project, and I'm just going to call it chain. Okay, so we've got our chain made. We now need to bone it, and to do that we go down to add, armature, single bone. And you'll see it's actually pointing the wrong way. It needs to be going downwards, down the chain. So we go into edit mode by pressing the tab key, and then just drag this around. About there will do. So that's the first bone, and to create the rest, a nice shortcut is to press E for extrude. Create one big bone all the way to the bottom, and then if we select the bone, press the space key. If you can't remember all of the keyboard shortcuts, a good way of getting around it is to press the space bar, type what you're looking for, subdivide, and we want subdivide multi. press the space bar again and it will still have the same thing you last looked for selected, so just do it again, and there we have 4 bones. And we'll select the top one again. No, now what we need to do, we don't need to select the top one at all. What we need to do, now that we've got it boned, is we have to tell Blender which vertices are going to move when each bone moves. So we have to assign different faces to each bone. And we can do that automatically with a simple mesh like a chain. And to do that, what we need to do is to select all of the meshes first of all. And I find it easiest to do it up here in the hierarchy window. Click on each mesh, hold down Shift, click on another one, and just do that all the way to the bottom until you've got everything selected. And that's everything. And then the last thing you select, it must be the last thing, is the armature. And you'll see that the meshes are dark orange. The last thing you select is like a light orange yellowy colour, which is what we want. And now we're going to automatically set the weights. Press Ctrl and P to bring up this menu, and we want to set armature deform with automatic weights. And you'll see in the hierarchy window it's all changed, everything has been automatically set up underneath the armature item object in here. So then what we need to do is we need to start our animation. I'm going to save this first of all, what I've done. So save as. It's still got chain blend, but you see in red that's telling you that it's already got a file called chain.blend. So if we press the plus button, it'll just add a 1 to it. So we've got both versions saved, and we can always go back if need be. So to record the animation, we need to first go into pause mode. So we need to select everything by pressing the A button, object mode, pause mode, and you'll see that the top bone here has turned blue, which is exactly what we want. If you go into object mode, yeah, didn't need to select everything at all, but there you go. We've now only got the blue bone highlighted, and that's it. So we're going to turn on automatic keyframe insertion for objects and bones. And the first thing we're going to do is to rotate the chain to the first point where it's going to start swinging, kind of thing. So we'll rotate it this way, pressing the R button and dragging, click with the left mouse button. We'll go to frame 20 and do the same thing on the other side. Frame 40, we're going to bring it back, but we'll bring it a little bit further this way because we don't want it to be exactly the same spot as frame 1. And because it's only going to be 40 frames long, we'll change the end value here to 40. And if we play it, you can see we've got the start of a swinging frame. So the next thing we need to do is to select the next bone. So we've selected the second bone, and what we need to do is to insert a keyframe. So insert keyframe menu, and I usually like to set it to location, rotation and scale, just in case I decide to make any changes and add animations that require either of the other two. So at the minute though, it's just going to be rotation unless I change my mind. So what we need to do is to go to frame 10, and at this point, because it's swinging downwards, there's a little bit of drag here, so we need this to rotate back a little bit. We'll go to frame 20, and by this time it's kind of straightened up a bit. Frame 30, it's on its way back, so there's a bit of drag, and frame 40, it's straightened a bit more. We'll go to the next bone and do the same thing. So bit of drag, straighten up, bit of drag, and straighten up. And you do with this the same thing with the last two bones. Oh, I've done that wrong. Bit of drag, straighten up, drag, and straighten up. Oh, I've done that wrong as well. Should have gone to the beginning. Location, rotation, scale, 10, bit of drag, 20, straighten up, 30, bit of drag, and 40, straighten up, kind of. So if we go back to the beginning and play, we've now got something that kind of looks like a swinging chain. Quite simplistic, but it does the job. So we'll save this. And we'll also save it into our projects folder, which I happen to have in here. I've just called it Test Project, Assets, My Stuff, Chain 2 Blend. And if we go back to the Projects folder, we'll give it a minute for Unity to read the Blender file. There's a little bit of work to do in here. And the first thing I like to do is to fix the materials. So we click on On-Demand Remap, Search and Remap. Then extract the materials. Then we need to make it metallic. So we'll drag metallic all the way up to the top, and smoothness we'll make about 0.6 because we don't want it to be so shiny you can't look at it. Turn on emission, baked, real time, change baked to real time. And then, as is one of my favourite things, is to add a reflection probe. Oh, goodness. Go. Change baked to real time. We'll drag the chain into the scene, and we want it to be, well, we want it to be above the ground for a start, so we'll just drag that up a bit, and we'll scale it down because it's huge, doesn't need to be that big. Probably be a good idea to add a plane so we've got some kind of reference as well. And maybe make the plane, I don't know, a black colour. We'll just create a material for it. Plain. Just don't want it to be white, that's all. We'll just make it a kind of maroony browny colour. And now I can see that my chain is just above the floor. That'll do. Still need both of these moving up, so see, that looks way above the floor to me, but never mind. It'll do. The reflection probe needs to be just above your object-ish, so that it casts correct reflections. Now then, the chain. We've got it metallic looking. What we need to do is to get the animation working. So we click on the animation button up here. And we want to, actually we'll click on loop time. I don't know what loop pause is, but I like the sound of it, so I'm clicking on it. And we'll apply. Then to get the animation working, because if we were to, that camera's not quite right. We'll do game object, align with view, give it a go, see what it looks like. Well, you can't see the chain, but you can see it's not animating. So what we need to do is extract the animation from the object. It's called default take, always is, and we press Control and D. We can minimize all that again. And then, actually we'll just take the plane out of here because that could just cause confusion. We just want to apply the animation to the chain. So you simply take your animation and drag it onto the chain. And then if we press play, we have a swinging chain. Oh, well, that didn't work, did it? What on earth's going on here? Oh, that's why. It's the camera I should have aligned. Camera preview. Game object, align with view. No, it's not working with my camera, I don't know why, but you can see that the chain is swinging. So now, what I can do is, I could upload it, see what it looks like, into my test space, build and upload. I'll just close down Oculus while we're waiting for that, because I'm just going to go into 2D mode to have a look at it and see what it's like. So we'll just turn off VR, Oculus VR, and then when I click on the Altspace, goodness knows where it is, Altspace VR app, come on. That's why. Because Steam was waiting for me to agree to the new terms. Menu, worlds, my worlds, and it's called test space. Oh, I've gone past it, haven't I? Oh, I'm standing in the middle of a chain. I'll just move over here. And there it is. It works. All created from scratch in Blender. And if I say so myself, it actually looks rather spiffy. So I hope that helped a little bit. As usual, if you've got any questions, just ask.